2 Maccabees chapter 13. Death of Menelaus. In the 149th year, Judas and his men learned that Antiochus Eupator was invading Judea with a large force, and that with him was Lysias, his guardian, who was in charge of the government. They led a Greek army of 110,000 foot soldiers, 5,300 cavalry, 22 elephants, and 300 chariots armed with scythes. Menelaus also joined them, and with great duplicity kept urging Antiochus on, not for the welfare of his country, but in the hope of being established in office. But the King of Kings aroused the anger of Antiochus against the scoundrel. When the king was shown by Lysias that Menelaus was to blame for all the trouble, he ordered him to be taken to Beroea and executed there in the customary local method. There is at that place a tower 75 feet high, full of ashes, with a circular rim sloping down steeply on all sides toward the ashes. Anyone guilty of sacrilege, or notorious for certain other crimes, is brought up there and then hurled down to destruction. In such a manner was Menelaus, that transgressor of the law, fated to die, deprived even of burial. It was altogether just that he who had committed so many sins against the altar with its pure fire and ashes, in ashes should meet his death. Battle near Modin. The king was advancing, his mind full of savage plans for inflicting on the Jews things worse than those they suffered in his father's time. When Judas learned of this, he urged the people to call upon the Lord day and night, now more than ever, to help them when they were about to be deprived of their law, their country, and their holy temple, and not to allow this people, which had just begun to revive, to be subjected again to blasphemous Gentiles. When they had all joined in doing this, and had implored the merciful Lord continuously with weeping and fasting and prostrations for 3 days, Judas encouraged them and told them to stand ready. After a private meeting with the elders, he decided that, before the king's army could invade Judea and take possession of the city, the Jews should march out and settle the matter with God's help, leaving the outcome to the Creator of the world, and exhorting his followers to fight nobly to death for the laws, the temple, the city, the country, and the government. He encamped near Modin, giving his troops the battle cry, God's victory. He made a night attack on the king's pavilion with a picked force of the bravest young men, and killed about 2,000 in the camp. He also stabbed the lead elephant and its rider. Finally they withdrew in triumph, having filled the camp with terror and confusion. Day was just breaking when this was accomplished, with the help and protection of the Lord. Treaty with Antiochus. The king, having had a taste of the Jews' boldness, tried to take their positions by a stratagem. So he marched against Beth-zur, a strong fortress of the Jews. But he was driven back, checked, and defeated. Judas sent supplies to the men inside. But Rhodocus, of the Jewish army, betrayed military secrets to the enemy. He was found out, arrested, and imprisoned. The king made a second attempt, by negotiating with the people of Beth-zur. After giving them his pledge and receiving theirs, he withdrew and attacked Judah's men. But he was defeated. Next he heard that Philip, who was left in charge of the government in Antioch, had rebelled. Dismayed, he negotiated with the Jews, submitted to their terms, and swore to observe all their rights. Having come to this agreement, he offered a sacrifice, and honored the sanctuary and the place with a generous donation. He received Maccabees, and left Hegemonides as governor of the territory, from Ptolemy to the region of the Gerasenes. When he came to Ptolemy, the people of Ptolemy were angered by the peace treaty. In fact, they were so indignant that they wanted to annul its provisions. But Lysias took the platform, defended the treaty as well as he could, and won them over by persuasion. After calming them and gaining their goodwill, he returned to Antioch. That is the story of the king's attack and withdrawal.